Welcome back. Adam and I are going to recap the Nebraska game and kind of a good win for Colorado, but we'll also look ahead a little bit to New Hampshire, but as we do every week, we'll look more at New Hampshire later on in the week. But we really want to talk more about Nebraska, don't we?
Do we really need to talk about New Hampshire, an FCS team that's 0-2?
No, let's not split up this video with too much of New Hampshire right now.
Yeah, no, obviously an amazing Saturday afternoon for this program. Mm-hmm. All that pent-up excitement about that rivalry coming back, and the game really lived up to it. Certainly it was ugly at times, but yeah. As Mike McIntyre said after practice today on Monday, in his tenure here at Colorado, that's one of the most physical football games they've had. And obviously, a lot of CU players got banged up in the game. But the good news is that it sounds like only Alex Kinney with the broken collarbone. Not that that's good news, obviously, him, but it could have been worse given how many CU players were sidelined. And it seems like Davis Price will at least be serviceable in that punter role now going forward.
Yeah, let's go over some of those injured players. I mean, we saw several players go out. I mean, Josh Kaiser went out. Laviska Shenault had the sling in the post game. Davis Price. We saw a number of guys go out in that game. Brett Tons for a little bit went out, the way they came back in. But very good news. Mike said today that, knock on wood, it seems like right now the only one that would totally miss the game this week would be Alex Kinney. And so that's great news for Colorado.
Yeah, and Juwan Winfrey was banged up. Katie Nixon as well.
Yeah.
The one thing you loved seeing in this football game was guys really step up to the moment in front of nearly 90,000 people. Tony Brown with that huge third down catch to keep the chains moving. It seemed like I didn't sit down and grade William Sherman's performance, but it seemed like he at least did a serviceable job coming in there. And, I mean, Davis Price, that's a tough situation to walk into your first time punting in a college game. And
back up with he's got the goal line to his back, his first punt. So that's a tough situation.
40.8 yards. I mean, he'll probably improve on that as he gets more experience. He seems like a kid that is able to calm his nerves. He's done pretty well as a kickoff specialist for this team.
Yeah, and done a good job actually. Other than a couple of hiccups as a field goal kicker 2 years ago. I mean, hits a 54-yarder his very first kick. So that's a kid that, I mean, he's earned a scholarship that he got last month. And, you know, I'm excited to see what he does. It's disappointing for Alex Kinney, but one more update on him. Mike McIntyre did say today that there is a chance Alex could come back. They're hoping maybe it's just 4 weeks for him. Maybe he comes back, but maybe he comes back for the last couple of weeks and he can redshirt and come back next year. So I don't know if Alex wants to do that. We haven't had a chance to talk to him, but at least that opportunity is there that this may not be the way Alex Kinney's career ends.
Well, there's maybe some talk of him being a potential Ray Guy Award candidate. I mean, he had the best punting average in the country the final 5 weeks last year. Did really well, had that one pinned against at the 1 yard line against Colorado State. If Davis Price proves that he's pretty serviceable in this role, I mean, if you're a CU fan out there, you might want a whole another year of Alex Kinney, but I think you would want another year of him in this program. And the other thing that really stood out to me on Saturday is we talked so much in the preseason about this team's improved camaraderie, how they were a closer-knit team, better leadership. I think that really showed itself on Saturday. There were,
big time.
I mean, late in the second quarter, last year's team, I don't think they come out in the second half with the same type of resiliency that this group did. Right.
I agree with you, and there were so many examples. I mean, the very end, James Stefano misses his second straight field goal, and Steven Montez talked about it. Saw it on TV where he goes up and puts his arm around him and says, "Hey, you're okay. Let's get going. We're gonna take care of. We're gonna win this game." They go out and did that. I love seeing stuff like that because it's something we've heard about all offseason, and to see it actually manifest itself in a game, I think is big time for this program.
And Laviska Shenault, what can you say about him? You know, Nebraska was spending a big portion of their game planning with the players. Watch where number 2 is. He's the key to their offense. And for him to have that target on his back really for the first time in his college career and to come out and still have the game that he did shows you that teams aren't going to be able to key in on him. He's that talented and that versatile. Yeah,
because even against CSU, even as he was catching passes, they didn't cover him. So yeah, Nebraska spent all week preparing for him. But Laviska Shenault's the real deal, man. I mean, he's we all see it, but that kid, I know he's leading the country right now in receptions and yards. And I will caution a little bit, 2013, 2 weeks in, that I think the leading passer in the country was Connor Wood. The leading receiver was Paul Richardson. I don't think this is quite that, but it's good signs. I think Laviska's a legit player, but I love the way other guys stepped up. You mentioned Tony Brown. Jay McIntyre had a big game for this team. Juwan Winfrey made some big catches. So you had other guys step up, and I think that's where we see some other weapons. I mean, you mentioned Tony. I thought he had 2 catches that were both huge for this team.
Yeah, and What's your biggest concern at this point? Probably the offensive line. They struggled, giving up 7 sacks. I believe 15 tackles for a loss, a bunch of quarterback hurries. Now, Nebraska is going to be one of the better defensive lines they'll probably face this year. They were extremely deep, and as Neil Welk said, they ran a lot of stunts, a lot of stuff to confuse them. That was a really good learning experience. At least I don't think that group is one that's going to hang their heads, especially since they won the football game.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I also think that Colorado adjusted, and I mean, they were shut down for most of that first half after the first 2 touchdowns and couldn't get anything going. Adjusted fairly decently in the second half and got some things going. I would trust Coach Shev, Coach Adams, guys like that to really make some adjustments that when teams do bring pressure, have some plays, some dump offs, things like that to get some yardage. I'm concerned about the line, but it's something I think they can get through.
Yeah, what was your experience like out in Lincoln covering the game?
It was good. It was. I'm not gonna say it was fun doing the drive, but it was kind of cool doing the drive. I've done it a lot of times going to Minnesota, where we have some family, so it was nice stopping in Lincoln. But it was fun along the way. I don't ever wear CU gear to things because that's not my job. I don't
you
work
trying
at
to be
school.
Professional or something, Brian? Okay.
But I did wear a CU hat along the way because I wanted to when I stopped for gas or whatever, just see what kind of reaction I'd get. And actually it was kind of cool. One gas station ran into Robert Orban, the holder from 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Actually, I ran into saw his brother first, and he sees my hat and he goes, "Go Buffs!" And I ended up talking to him, and it was his brother, who I think is a freshman here now, and then saw Robert and his dad. So they were making the trek out. Saw Jared Bell. While I was trying to park, saw him. I know Matt McChesney and Sean Tufts made the drive out. Lots of former Buffs making the trip, and I thought it made for a cool experience for everybody. And really, that atmosphere was pretty cool. I mean, I know CU fans have to hate Nebraska, but the atmosphere there is pretty cool.
Yeah, I went down on the field. I think from the field 4th down play, the pitch out to Kyle Evans. From that point forward, I was down on the ground, and it is definitely 16 years on this gig, one of the most memorable experiences. And you mentioned McChesney. I was standing by him down at the very end, and gosh, he was like another 11th coach out there. He was yelling so loud. Classy fans, not so much on social media, but the experience there in Lincoln, they couldn't have been nicer.
Well, there's not a ton of class on social media in general, but,
right.
But you're right. I mean, the Nebraska fans very, very respectful, and everyone I ran into throughout the trip very respectful, but really cool. I was there one other time in 2010. It didn't go well, and it was really cool to see them come out with a win. I think this was a huge win for this program. I know Nebraska is not what they used to be, but for this program, it means a lot to the fans. I think it means a lot to this team. Going back to what we talked about at the beginning, the camaraderie, this was a huge step for them to get through adversity, win a game. I think it sets them up for a really good season.
Didn't have a little bit of a feel in the post game to their win at Oregon back in 2016.
Oh, yeah.
I felt like this is a type of win that can kind of catapult the program. Now, I love the fact that New Hampshire is scheduled this way, because I'm not saying this is a group that's necessarily going to have a let up, but if it was going to happen, it would be after a win at Nebraska. So you have this game against a team, again, they're 0-2, and then you have that bye week. I think the schedule has really set up well, even though McIntyre expressed some concern with having to start the season with back-to-back rivalry games. Yeah,
and we'll get into New Hampshire more, but I mean, that's a game that I'm not going to say I was ever worried about it because they're an FCS team, but 14 years in a row in the FCS playoffs. Well, they're 0-2. They scored 10 points in 2 games. Their starting quarterback got hurt, and he was out this last game. Don't know if he'll play this week. So I feel a lot better about this being not a bye, but an easier week. I think they can rest some of those guys that were injured the other day. Even if they're healthy, maybe rest them. You got the bye week, and then you got UCLA to start conference play. So I think this sets up for Colorado to have a really good start to the season.
Yeah, and this new redshirting rule, for the diehard fans, it might be kind of fun. You're going to see maybe if things go as well as we expect them to. Guys that you'll get kind of a sneak peek at some guys for the future on Saturday.
Well, it'd be kind of cool if things go really well to even see like a Blake Stenstrom. I mean, I think I'd want to see more of Tyler Lytle and Sam Neuer and kind of stop there. But if it gets out of hand to that point, it'd be kind of cool to see Blake in there.
Definitely.
Well, we'll be back on Wednesday to preview more of New Hampshire and get you ready get y'all fired up for the home opener against the Wildcats.